I am so excited for this feature today on the Salon Chat. We feature and sit down with Ginger Demato, who is one of the most sought after hair and makeup artists in the beauty industry.
From the time I was a little girl, I always knew I wanted to do hair and makeup for TV and movies. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I did. I always knew. So by the time I went to high school, I was in beauty school too. I actually graduated beauty school before I graduated high school.
Really?
Yeah. So it was wonderful. It was great. I always, I just love doing it. And I still do. So I started working at a shop, and then when I started having children, I had a little shop in my basement. Then I had a boutique with some friends, and that was fun. And then I got pregnant for the third time and had another baby, and went back to my house in the basement. And a friend of mine, her sister was Phil Donahue's makeup artist.
Really?
And he had moved from Chicago to New York. And she moved to Hawaii to seek fame and fortune. She was coming back. There was no fame and fortune in Hawaii. She moved into my neighborhood, and she said, if you want to barter with me babysitting, I'll teach you how to do makeup. And I loved makeup, but I wasn't a makeup artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, well, sure. I have kids the same age. So she got her foot back in the door in NBC and at Channel 7, and at that time there was a show called I think it was AM Chicago.
Yeah.
It starred Rob Weller and Oprah Winfrey.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Right. So Leslie started taking me on jobs with her, and I would say, shall I use the KT1 or the KT2? And she'd say, oh, use the KT2 on him. So I started getting direction from her on the job for men's makeup. I started out with men's makeup, and then kind of gradually did a little bit of hair and a little bit more makeup. And then she got a call from somebody at NBC saying that they wanted somebody to take the place of a makeup artist that was going to do a show called Crime Stories in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So Leslie said to me, oh, you can do a week and I'll do a week. And I was like, oh, well, I'm a fake makeup artist. I can't go do Carol Marine and Ron Majors and Joan Esposito.
The big names, right?
I didn't, at that time, I was like, I was very intimidated by that. I go, I'm just a suburban housewife, and she's like, no, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And I mean, she must have said that 1,000 times. And I'm like, but I have to go downtown. And she goes, yeah. Anyway, to make a long story short, I did it. The week that I worked, I got a write-up. Well, Carol Marine got a write-up in the Chicago Tribune saying, wow, Carol has never looked more.
Really?
Carol is not only brainy, but she's beautiful too. Well, that did it. The person that hired us said, I want to hire you guys full time.
Wow.
And you guys can share the job. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a full-time job. She goes, no, it's part-time. You work 2 days a week, I'll work 3, you work 3, I work 2. This way we can be present for our children's games or whatever's going on. And so that's how we kind of started out. So we started doing the news, and we did the news at Channel 5 for 12 years.
Was Oprah wearing her afro at that time?
Well, here's the next part of the story. My friend gets a call from the Oprah Winfrey show saying they need somebody to do hair and makeup for a celebrity. So she calls me up and she goes, It tells me, and I go, I can't do a celebrity. I just can't. She goes, it's just a man. You can do it. And I'm like, oh my God, who is it? Barry Manilow.
You were thrown right in.
I was thrown in. All of a sudden, I'm at the Oprah studio. It was at that time on State and Lake. Okay. And me and Barry are in the green room together. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's being very insecure. And I'm like going, oh my God, you look fabulous. Are you kidding? You're so talented. You're so fabulous. That's where the gift of gab comes in, bullshit, whatever you want to call it. I'm pumping up his ego. I'm giving him like, he's like, do I look old? I'm like, oh my God, these horrible lights. You don't look old. You're young. And anyway, I got through that. The lady that hired me said, oh my God, we've got Goldie Hawn coming in 3 days. You want to do her? I'm like, oh my God, Goldie Hawn. Oh my, 3 days. That's a woman. I said, sure, I'll do it. So now I'm in the hotel with Goldie Hawn and her little children. And fortunately, she said, I want a real natural look. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. And I kind of learned that these are just human beings just like us. Her daughter flushed the toilet and had a diaper in it and it overflowed. And she was frantic and just like any other mother would be. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. They're not any different than we are. They're just people. Right. Some are nicer than others. Some are not as nice. But, you know, you go in with the attitude, I'm there to perform a service, to make you look good. And I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can. And I hope you will, you know, they will be as well. And not too demanding. Although there are times where, you know, somebody might be a little bit more demanding than someone else. But that's how I kind of got my start. It was like, wow, opportunity just like burst in my door.
It was no waiting for you.
I was very hesitant, but because my friend was such a positive person and you can do it, I did it. Then, because we worked at NBC, we got the job for Jenny Jones for a year. I didn't care for Jenny. And she was very nervous. Her first talk show, so many people talking in her ear. Anyway, I worked 1 year on Jenny, and one of the producers there went to a new guy, Jerry Springer, and she said, you should come and do Jerry Springer. Who's Jerry Springer? Anyway, 17 years later, I finished up my wonderful experience with Jerry Springer.
Oh, wow, 17 years?
17 years with Jerry, 12 years with NBC, and they were in the same building.
Okay.
So I could do Jerry and then go downstairs and do the news.
Right, wow.
And then I had an opportunity to start the makeup department at WGN. Mm-hmm. I just have had a blessed...
Yeah, you have. You really have. So when did that part-time turn into full-time? Because it sounded like it turned into full-time quickly.
As soon as we started going full force, my friend Leslie, my partner, she loved doing the movies. I did not like doing the movies. But she had to be a licensed hairdresser to be a makeup artist on the movies at that time. She went to beauty school. It just seemed like, I think we were just at the right time, at the right place, and it exploded. Talk shows, news stations. I did Fox. I did them all. You know, not everyone had a makeup artist at that time. And we were we're nice people. We're not there to take anybody's place. We're not there to stab you in the back. And we just got in demand. And it just kind of snowballed into... you know, being, like I said, at the right time, at the right place. And we got to do a lot of wonderful, wonderful things. Leslie did get into the union, and she was so happy. And then, unfortunately, fate stepped in, and she had a artery vein malformation, which is something like a stroke. And she's paralyzed now. She's paralyzed on the right side of her body. Okay. So, you know, you don't know when or where or what tomorrow is going to bring. I say just try to do your best for today, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know, I count my blessings every day that I have such a wonderful career, and I'm still going. Right. I just brokered a deal with the Marquee Network, which is the Cubs network, for 5 months, and unfortunately COVID stepped in, and that didn't go anywhere. But hopefully next year it'll be back again, and it's another opportunity. And I do a lot of sports, and when Jerry left, I was like, oh my God, now what? What am I going to do? I've had a job for 17 years.
Yes.
And a good job, you know, and I loved going. But, you know, you call people, you say, hey, hi, I'm available. And hope that somebody goes, oh yeah, I like working with her. I even got to do J-Lo and Ellen and Tom Hanks, and I mean, all of these people were on Oprah at the time. I was her like green room person. You know, I wasn't the only one, but I was one of them. Yeah. And like I said, I felt so blessed and fortunate that I had that opportunity.
Yeah. And it's just something when you're outside looking in, like me outside looking in with you, and it's also with Talana working on all these fabulous stars. And it's just like, I think sometimes like you looked at them as, you know, maybe not human, but once you start working with them, you're like, okay, well, they're just like me, but
they are.
Exactly. So they're not perfect either.
Listen, to be in that kind of a business, you better be strong, because people are judging you all the time. And there's a lot of insecurity. Yeah. And I think when you do surround yourself with good people, you can conquer a lot of the insecurities just being around nice people.
When did you actually start accepting newer people in and start actually being a professional hiring manager for other people that were coming into that space and really wanting to do exactly what you were doing?
Well, I had an opportunity on the Jerry Springer Show to bring in interns. Because we had such an influx of people, and the amount of people and the amount of shows and the amount of clean rooms, and it was just an ideal time to get people that were in beauty school or had not gotten the opportunity or never would get the opportunity to get their foot in the door. And once you have your foot in the door, some people will try to get more than their foot in the door. They'll push the door open a little bit more. Some people don't really, it might not be for them. You know, I have a lot of friends that'll say, oh, I could never have done the Jerry Springer Show. And I'm like, well, you know what? That wasn't for you. It was for me. I had the patience. I had the, not that I'm the best makeup artist but I had the patience, and I had the right attitude to do that kind of work. You know, it wasn't necessarily always clean work because we had people from everywhere. And it was nice to bring in young people and see where they want it. And some people they really wanted it, and they did. They moved on and they moved up. And it makes me so happy to see that, you know, that maybe I had a small part in giving them a start or opening a door, a crack for them. And it's up to them to put their whole foot in and then get their body in. And Talana, she knew what she wanted, and she just, she had said, it was April, I was doing a fashion show, and she did come to me several times, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Can I teach her makeup? Is that really something I could do? And then I was like, after about the third or fourth time that she asked me, I was like, if you want to come and be an intern in August, that would be the best opportunity in the world for you. And it's an unpaid internship. So you have to be able to get yourself to where you're going to go and not get paid for it. And then that makes a difference too. That separates the men from the boys, as they say. Who does want to do that? So she did. and she wound up, a union member and doing all kind. And she's in demand, and she's talented. Other gals that were very determined, and they're all working in the industry now in either TV or movies. And I couldn't be happier. Like I said, to have a small part in somebody's success, I always thank my mentor all the time. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity that she gave me, and her words were, "You can do it, you can do it, you can do it." Even though I didn't think I could do it, she thought I could, and I did. And I'm 73 years old, so I've had a career, and it's still going. Well, it was going until COVID, but it's still viable.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing something that I love to do.
Still relevant.
Yeah, and I still can make money, and I can go to work with a happy attitude, and I'm thrilled.
We had a conversation a few days ago, and you were talking to me about like the diversity and in the industry.
I was not a skilled hairdresser in African American hair.
Right.
You can only fake that so far.
Yeah.
And then I had a woman that came on Oprah's show. I don't remember who she was, but I was in beyond I couldn't. So I called Andre, who was Oprah's makeup artist, and told him to come down. And he came down, and he said to her, "You come here without a perm. How do you expect, blah, blah, blah," whatever. He was reading her a little bit. And my irons weren't hot enough. Anyway, to make a long story short, after that incident, I said to the producers, who were mostly all Caucasian girls, I said, we need an African American man or woman to do hair. I'm just not skilled. And I was asked to try out to be Oprah's traveling hair and makeup artist. I knew that I wasn't going to get the job, but I did it anyway. I sweated in front of Reggie and Andre, and I was like, oh my God. I didn't do Oprah, but I did her assistant Beverly, and I was like, oh my God, I'm failing. But you know what? I figured it was a good experience for me. Mm-hmm. After that experience, I was like, I've got to get better in this. And working on Jerry Springer, having thousands of different ethnicities, from the whitest of white to the blackest of black, I did get better. I'm still not like a pro, but I can fake it a little bit better than I used to. But I would never, ever represent myself as somebody that's, a skilled hair and makeup artist makeup I can do, but hair is a whole different ballgame. I just, I've learned a lot, but I'm still not skilled, and I don't feel that I need to go back to beauty school at this point.
Right. Yeah, I don't think so. So when you worked with Jerry Springer for 17 years, were you still working with some of the news media also?
Oh, yeah, because we were in the same building.
Right.
Yeah, and I could go downstairs, and I don't know, like I said, I just got so lucky. I was just lucky. Over at WGN, they were starting a morning news show, and I said, we need an ethnic makeup artist, because they were very underrepresented at that time, underrepresented, and unless you, unfortunately, do know someone, you're not going to get the same opportunity to put your foot in the door. So I asked another gentleman friend of mine who was a black man if he could recommend somebody, and he did. And her name was Ingrid Grimes, and she was fabulous. And she went on to be Michelle Obama's makeup artist.
Okay.
And so
that name sound familiar. That name did sound familiar.
Yeah, she's very, very highly respected in the industry. Okay. So, it felt good. I mean, I felt great that I could give her an opportunity to shine.
Yeah.
And,
in a sense, you actually opened up the door for more diversity. Really?
I did. I mean, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I did see a need, and I thought that it should be filled. Yeah, no, and it's good. It's very good. I mean, I have a lot of friends in the industry, and I'm grateful to them, because sometimes when we're on a movie set, and I'll say, this hairdo is, or this person's hair is out of my realm of, I'm not going to fake it. I'm just going to say, can you help me?
Yeah.
Can you help me? Or maybe take her, do her, and I'll do somebody else. But, I think you have to be humble as well. You can't just think you can do it all. You can't think you know it all. You will never know it all. I will always learn from somebody else. And, that's just my philosophy. And so far it's worked well for me.
So what have you enjoyed most about working behind the scenes on TV news? Did you like the energy and the fast pace?
Well, there's definitely a difference between news, talk shows, and movies.
Okay.
Movies are, I want to just scream sometimes, because it might take all day to do a shot that's going to be for a couple minutes on the screen.
Right.
And you are dealing with every kind of element. You don't know where you're going at 2:00 in the morning. They haven't sent a call sheet out to you yet. Where am I going to park? Where am I going to go? Am I outside? Am I inside? There might be 350 extras, or, there's a lot of unknown, and then there's a lot of hours. Talk shows, I love talk shows because they're inside, number one, and they're pretty much a time frame. I love news. Sometimes you'd only get 5 minutes to do a face. You had to practice a 5-minute face. They had to go on the air. And I liked that too, because it was inside and it was controlled hours.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to make money doing this. I love my weddings. I love my brides. I love my bridesmaids. It's not for everyone. Not everybody can deal with all these different personalities. I think it's just finding out who you are and where you fit. Commercials, corporate, headshots. There's a million ways. It's just sometimes the universe will just lead you to where you need to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, we definitely believe in the universe. Always working for you. It definitely worked for you.
It did. It really has done a good job for me. And like I said, I'm very grateful. I put 3 kids through college, and I never knew how my kids were how I was gonna pay for college and weddings, and 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 like I said, when Jerry left, I was like, oh my God, now what? But other things opened up. Do a lot of sporting events, and that's fun too. I've been at the World Series game and the Blackhawks when they won the trophy. I was able to be there and go on the ice. I mean, I've had wonderful, incredible experiences, and one is always better than the next. It's like, oh my God, I get to experience this too.
So what would you say to anyone who is interested in, launching into the career? Even if they don't know anybody, like, what do they need on their resume? What kind of characteristics should they have working behind the chair that will help them enter the field of TV, film, and movies?
Well, I'd say you have to have a tolerance for people, because you're going to work on all different kinds of people, and not everyone is going to like you.
Right.
Not everyone is going to like you. I mean, I'm always shocked when I go, that person does not like me. Why? And then I go like, you know what? I had done this one woman, I won't name her, but I swear to God, as soon as I met her, I went like this, oh my God, I must have killed her in another life. She hated me. I got started on her makeup, and she goes, I can't work with you. And she jumped out of my chair.
Really?
And she left the building. And I was like, oh my God. I said to the producer, I said, he came over, he goes, what happened? I said, she hates me. I don't know why, but she hates me. And I said, and if I were a young makeup artist, this probably would have killed me. But you know what? I'm a seasoned veteran, and I know not everybody's going to like me. And I'm not embarrassed, but I feel sorry for her because I think she needs psychiatric help. But, what can I say? I said, if you want me to stay, I'll stay. If you want me to leave, I'll leave. He said, well, it'd probably be a little better if you left. And I was like, well, okay. So I left. And it didn't destroy me, which thank God it didn't. But like I said, not everyone's going to like you. It doesn't happen that often where somebody jumps out of your chair and just leaves the building. But it does happen.
Something a little bit more personable she was working with.
Right. I'm like, oh my God, she's psycho. But I didn't say that. I was like, okay, well, you hate me. So I think I did kill her in another life or something happened. But I had really bad vibes from her, which also doesn't happen that often where you get that kind of, and I'm pretty good bullshitter. So I could pretty much get people to, but she was just really hated me. So anyway, my advice is to just go with the flow, keep looking for opportunities, even if you have to do free stuff, fashion shows, volunteer, and you never know when that that person will give you that, hey, you want to do this or come on and do that. Send your resume out. Call people, talk to them, ask for internships. Those are the best ways to get yourself into a place where you want to be. Work at a cosmetics counter, learn a line, do different ethnicities. Not everybody has the opportunity to do different kinds of faces, and just be prepared. Preparedness is the best way to go. And don't be afraid. And just have a voice in back of your head saying, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Right. So that's pretty much my philosophy. I'm not sure if it's a good one, but it seems to have worked for me and others.
So with Talana, she was very, very persistent when she talked about that in the feature. Do you believe that persistence now will still work for an individual who is really interested?
I do believe that it would work. I do believe that people take notice if you've called, and I mean, obviously you can't be a pest.
Right.
You be persistent without being obnoxious.
Yes.
And you can call and say, hi, I'm calling again. I just want to know if anything's opened up. If there's any opportunities, I'm willing to come in. I'm willing to be an intern. I'll just watch and be quiet. Anything that, and hey, this is my name and I'll call you in a couple months and see if you're still, I think that it does pay off. Like I said, you don't want to be obnoxious and you don't want to be a frustrated person where you're like, well, what the hell? I've called you before.
Yeah.
That does not work. That does not work. You really have to be humble. I keep saying humble because it's a very interesting business. There's a lot of people that think you're after their job. And, and sometimes when they see people that maybe are better than them, they're afraid to give them an opportunity because, oh my God, they're going to like them more. And then they're going to call them. So you always have to kind of back off with, that's not my agenda. I don't want your job. I just want some help to get in the business and I'll take it from there. Talana was persistent, but not in a horrible way. She was persistent in a good way. I knew that she really wanted to do this, and I was like thinking about like, how could I help her? But then, when she'd walk away, she was out of my mind. But then when she came back again, there she is again. And I'm like, but she really does mean this, so it's like, and then it was like, oh, well, I can get her an internship, so there you go. And then she took it and ran with it,
She did. So what do you see the industry moving forward with everything that's going on in the world?
I really don't know. Right now, I have no work at all, other than a little micro wedding. Mm-hmm. And all of my TV jobs nobody wants you to come near them. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm in the union, and they're not going to have a lot of extras. They have a lot of very stringent rules, and I really don't know.
Yeah. Have you started doing any filming yet? For anything?
There are a few makeup artists that are working, mm-hmm. and it looks like they're mining for plutonium. They've got a mask, they've got a shield, they've got a coat, they've got a million rules of sterilization, and it's a personalized service. When you're doing makeup, you're in somebody's face.
Yeah.
And people are afraid. Mm-hmm. And all of the jobs that I had normally would get from a little place called TV House or this or that, the people are like, they're not ready. They're just not ready. And they're doing a lot of remote shooting from people's homes. So
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and like Chicago Fire and Chicago Med and PD, mm-hmm. they're all going to start in September at some point. I doubt if I'll get any work this year at all. I'd be very surprised. Pretty much all my sports have been, canceled, or people are doing it remote locations, and they don't want a lot of extra people around.
When you get the ballpark, the baseball, what are you actually doing there? Like, who are you actually?
I don't do the players. That's always somebody will like, oh, you're doing the players? I'm like, no, I do the sports announcers.
Okay.
Announcers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, everybody has an announcer, or they have the color commentator, mm-hmm.
And
those are the people that I do.
Mm-hmm.
So
mostly, what do you say? They're mostly men?
Well, there are more women in the business now than there ever has been before. Depending on what sport you're working, soccer has a lot more women because there's women's soccer, women's basketball.
Okay.
But usually the men's sports still have that good old boy network of men, but every now and then they'll throw in a woman or two. I got a call one time to do President Bush, not the young one, the old one. Uh-huh. And I went out to, he was doing a speech over at O'Hare. And, my phone rings. My husband goes, Ginger, the White House is on the phone for you. I'm like, the White House? I answer the phone. It's like White House Media Affairs. President Bush is giving a speech, blah, blah, blah. We want makeup. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm like, wow. Obviously it's because I worked at NBC. They called the NBC desk. Right. That's how they got my name. But, I thought, wow, doing the President of the United States. And after Nixon and the speech with John Kennedy, and he looked like a used car salesman, they learned that it's better to have a little bit of, like you said, polish. Mm-hmm. So they don't look like they're sweating and they're lying and they're, it goes a long way.
They don't look like a politician.
Well, you don't look like a lying politician anyway.
Right. So is there anything you would want to leave the listening audience with? Any advice or any creative tips that you can think of throughout your career? Because it sounds like you had a fabulous career and still having a fabulous career, even though you're not as busy. But, people remember that name, Ginger Demato, and they know your work. They know your history.
I just say, if you are lucky enough to love what you do, always look for the opportunity or to do your best, and somebody might be looking at you that you don't know, that goes like, oh, I like that person, I'll give her a chance, or I'll give him a chance. And if opportunity does knock, then answer the door. And if it doesn't knock, try to find the right door to knock on.
I love that.
Oh,
Yeah, you can drop the mic with that one.
I'm going to drop the mic, girl.
Well, we dropped the mic.